That girl, she was an elaborate one. This dwelling, it takes the shape of one's deepest desires. It's like Harry Potter's room of requirement, basically. But a castle. Welcome back to Omori with the Hikikomori route. Last time we played, we finished all of the letters with Hangman. We also had a lovely conversation with Abby, who gave us all of our ultimate weapons, charms, that kind of a thing. So, I've been encouraged to check out the library in Sweetheart's Castle again, which is just through here. So let's do that. I'm assuming that we can still get through here if I'm being encouraged to do that. It's very sad music. Also, we're here with our friends this time, which is weird. Last time we were here alone. Oh no. I can't run. Please stay away from me. Find a book of interest. Yep, just read it to me. One by one, they fell asleep on the car ride home. It was a long day on the beach after all. Is this the same? And everyone was exhausted. Blank was the first to nod off, then the rest. Is this the same? I can't remember. As the sun set over the freeway, Blank's head accidentally drops into Blank's shoulder. A sudden jolt wakes him, but he doesn't dare open his eyes. He pretends to be asleep and steadies his breathing. I suppose we find out about... The only one that I remember from the library was when Kel spilled the juice. So if we read about Kel spilling juice, we know it's the exact same stories. He listens to the sound of the road. He feels the soft sun... Stop. You're ruining the ambiance. He feels the soft sun resting on his skin and the slight tinge of pain on his nose from tomorrow's sunburn. I think this is the same. It's the same like moments with our friends. Because this is like when they were at the beach. He is happy, very, very happy. And he makes a vow to himself that no matter what, he will remember this moment forever. That's the sad part. The purposeful avoidance of something he so desperately wanted before. Oh, the light even changed after we were done reading. Are you just ever so politely waiting until I'm done reading? Oh. Anything that has to do with, like, the fear of it all. Can I just flat out attack you? Ooh, the knife even has, like, a red thing to it when we strike. Sunny, I'm sorry. Oh. I was like, we're done? And then we had another one. These aren't terrible, considering, I suppose more than anything, the level that we're at and the weapons we probably have. Yeah, that really isn't awful. Probably helps that we have friends here. We also weren't attacked when we were here last. We were just like following Mari. A puddle, yeah, these are the same. A puddle of juice sinks into the carpet. Hovering above it is none other than Kel, holding an open juice box. From a juice box, too. He looks around at his friends who are all wearing the same look face of disappointment. He lets out a guilty chuckle in what would seem like less than a second. Blank disappears out the door. A tiny black kitten, makes her way through the stain, leaving sloppy, wet tracks all across the carpet. This is something that isn't really addressed, at least as far as I know, or I haven't picked up on it, is what happened with the cat. So, like, we've seen a little hint of what happened with the dad with the somebody, like, hitting down the tree afterwards. So there's that hint that, like, the dad was incredibly upset about what happened with Mari and, like, and then he's gone, right? Like, that seems like an easy thing to kind of piece together, I suppose, but, like, what happened with the cat? Because the cat was inherently connected to Mari. It was, like, Mari's cat, right? So what happened with the cat? Blank's face turns red and yells for Blank, but Blank is already gone. Blank hands Blank some wet paper towels. It looks like they're the only adults here. And if they don't clean this up soon, the carpet is going to stain. They'll have to deal with Blank later. Feeling responsible for Kel. These feel like black space type creatures. but also like the kinds of somethings that would attack in like the train or things like that. These very fear-based monsters that maybe we saw in the real world, but also in our dream world where they would say like, Sunny, I'm sorry, exactly. There's that horse-looking one that would appear, I remember, in the train to Orange Oasis. It's a hot summer day, and all Blank could think about was why they couldn't do this tomorrow. The backyard was a mess. Planks of wood were strewn about the area, so when they built the treehouse, paint stains blotched the grass thanks to Blank and Blank's work. All day, Blank watched Blank lug planks of wood back and forth from his dad's pickup truck. He watched Blank hammer his fingers over and over and made note that over an hour passed since Blank had climbed down her ladder. I will just be their moral support, Blank thought, so feeling like he can't be helpful to his friends. As he sat sleepily in the shade of his favorite tree, of course he knew this wouldn't be the case. Soon his friends will be asking for help and he won't be able to refuse. The treehouse is for everyone, so it's only fair that everyone puts some work into it. Blank knows this and agrees, but reluctantly, he slides up and wobbles his way to the mess. He knows he should put in his fair share. It just had to be on the hottest day of summer. It's like these memories get guarded by the fears when we are, I guess, embracing avoidance. If we're purposefully trying to avoid things, not maybe consciously, but then these things get locked away more. This year, Blank was lucky enough to get assigned to a desk next to the small window. Every day during class, Blank would gaze listlessly through the opening. At the shadows of the trees, the clouds creeping overhead, his mind drifted elsewhere, into his own worlds, his own stories, his own adventures. He had a habit of doing this, so this wasn't new. Being the dreamer wasn't necessarily new, but how he used it maybe was the thing that changed. It was easy for him to get lost. Today was the same as any other. Blank stared vacantly out the small window as the clouds passed one by one. Suddenly a hand playfully slaps his back, snapping him out of his reverie. That, again, that's not a word you hear very often. Blank looks away from the opening. So many of these words are like very literal in the sense like in literacy. I don't know if that's the correct word, but things like reverie, you don't hear people say that in modern language very often, but you can hear it in books. I don't know about all the time. I guess it depends on what genre of books you might read. So that gives me the impression that Sunny learned a great deal of how he might speak to himself through the language of books. Things like fantasy books or Lord of the Rings, right? If we learned vocabulary and diction through Lord of the Rings, we might seem a bit odd to people, but that's just our only source of information. Blank smiles. He motions that class is over and that it's finally time for lunch. So even like Kel like acknowledges like his friends being like a space cadet, right? Like that's kind of how we talk to people who get lost in like that dream world kind of a thing. It's pizza day today and they need to bolt to the cafeteria before it's all gone. Except cafeteria, like school cafeteria pizza is usually not that great. Don't get me wrong, probably better than nothing, but like, ooh. Blank's stomach growls. He looks at the small window one last time. He would have to continue his adventure another day. This also makes me wonder what kind of music Mari liked to play. Because, I mean, we know the song that was their duet. But that doesn't mean that that's the kind of music that Mari actually enjoyed playing. We know that Mari tended to bring perfectionism into how she played music. But if Mari could actually enjoy her music and let go of the perfectionism, embrace imperfection, I guess I'm thinking about this with the background music. Would she enjoy this kind of music? What types of music would she enjoy playing on the piano? Would it be different than the type of music that she played when she was kind of stuck in that perfectionist mindset? And like, we can't know the answer to that inherently. You know, what is this book? It's sunset. A strange statue watches over the hidden lake. So back in that hidden area where Basil fell in the water, It might have meant something significant in the past, but time has made its engravings illegible. It's also kind of sad that at some point something was important enough to make a statue of it, but it's been lost to time. Either way, it doesn't matter to the company visiting it today. Stop! I'm reading. They're only here to use it as a diving board. The brothers take turns jumping off the statue. Blank jumps first, then Blank. Then Blank again, then Blank again. The brothers gleefully urge Blank to join them, and after some careful thought, Blank warily agrees. Blank shuffles up to the statue and looks down at the moving water. He can hear his heartbeat. His ears begin to ring. So this is where so much of the hesitation or fear of water comes in too. His legs begin to feel as if they would give out at any time. I wonder if this is also when we see that moment, or that flashback almost, where Mari dove in after him to save him, because we saw that in, I guess, the regular route, the other route, but we also saw it in this one when we sunk into the bathtub. He tries to focus on his breathing. He sees something crawling. Oh, that's right. The spider. So it's like the combination of like the heights and the water and the spider. That's right. Feels something crawling on his shoulder and his eyes fly open to meet those of a black spider. Oh. In an instant, Blank loses all sense and hurls himself into the lake. Water fills his nose. Like, the fact that it's also like super unexpected. Just like this super shitty combination of events. But when we feel afraid and when we feel anxious, we don't always see it that way. We often look for evidence to confirm our own belief system. And if we're feeling anxious, sometimes that belief system that we're confirming is this idea that spiders are terrible and water is terrible or heights are terrible. And so we'll only notice the things, we'll only notice the times when heights were terrible and not the times when they weren't terrible. Or we'll only notice the times when water was terrible or spiders were terrible, etc., etc. He exerts his limbs, but the water is stronger. He's too weak, too helpless. Or that is what he believes. Exactly. That's what he believes. So he won't notice the times when he was strong or you know, strong enough, that kind of a thing. Because what does it even mean to be strong? Blank shuts his eyes and waits for the brothers to save him. Okay, I see you. Yes. Thank you for waiting so patiently. You find a book of interest? Everyone is over again today. Yeah, this is when they would spend all that time together. And then they weren't. From 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., a group of 6 friends eat a delicious homemade breakfast and watch TV together. It's the most enjoyable part of every week. Blank looks at the clock, 8 a.m., 2 hours left, so focusing on how much time they have left instead of enjoying the time they have. He would be able to watch with everyone else until 10 a.m. when his tutor arrives. Blank grimaces. What he thought would be a rewarding hobby has been nothing more than a nuisance. Instead of watching the shows with the rest of his friends, he'll be the only one to miss out. If only he'd watched the last hour with everyone else. If only he didn't have to play the violin. So all of these have been the same. It is different though, when you kind of know what has happened to these characters. Also, is that a jump rope? No, not that. Yeah, no, I know what the flower is. But I mean, that's a jump rope. I'm surprised that isn't like in the deeper well or beyond that or only in black space or something like that, because that's a thing that's connected to our trauma too. Grand piano. The word Omori is etched across the center. Oh. Do you want to place your sheet music? So we can interact with this far more than we've been able to in the past. Before we're just like, oh, cool, there's a piano. In my brain, I'm like, it's like a kid created this. We got secret passages. And then I'm like, yeah, but a kid did create this. Yeah, that checks out. We have, what, 3 doors? Let's go behind door number 1. Okay, our friends are with us. I don't know what to expect. And it's always scarier in this game when you're alone. It's also very dark. I haven't seen fear lines in this game for a long time, and they're creeping fucking closer even if I don't move. Oh, those are stairs. You're falling! Great. This, the fact that there's the jump rope in that room, the fact that this is a stair monster, or that this is like this like fear of heights, I believe is what this one is, like the hands, like the fear lines have the hands. And the fact that it says you're falling, like you're falling down the stairs. None of that would like hit the same if you played this route and did not know what this trauma or this fear was about. Like realistically, big picture wise fear, right? None of this would really hit the same if there just wasn't that knowledge there. Because otherwise you look at it and be like, oh, okay, we're like the door pushed us back, versus having it be like, oh, we're fucking, oh, 10, oh, there's a time limit? I hate time limits in games. It makes me think of Assassin's Creed 2, where the game is like, hey, if you go to all these, I don't know, temples or whatever they are, you'll get this ultimate piece of armor. But in order for that to happen, you're gonna have time limits. You like press this button, you have to parkour all the way around this church and reach the end by the time limit. And I do not know how many times that church infuriated me. I do not like this. I'm gonna use red hands. I'm gonna have someone, oh no, I'm gonna have someone else use an air horn to make all of us angry and do more damage. And then everybody else is just gonna attack because that's all I can do. That red is so bright because of how dark everything else is. Stop it. So angry. Oh, 9 turns left. Oh, don't put this pressure on me. Red hands. Yes. Power hit. Yes. Yes. Be angry at your fear. Not real life application, but you get my point. Oh, as soon as you get hit, you're afraid again. 8 turns left. So Kel can't heal now. Shit. Okay. Well, you're still getting red hands. And you are still doing power hit. You are going to annoy the shit out of your brother, because that's what brothers do best. You're gonna just use an item to heal yourself. With a cheeseburger. That red hands is very good. What is happening? Did I do it? Omori learned vertigo. So, what's vertigo? This is why we have fruit here and a place to heal. What is vertigo? Deals damage to all foes based on user's speed and greatly reduces their attack. Interesting. Okay, door number 2. Which fear is this gonna be? Oh, spiders. Oh, spiders. Ugh. Oh, the fear lines are already here. Gross. I can't move. Ugh. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think the same strategy as before. We're gonna make everybody pissed off. And we're just gonna do red hands repeatedly. Just hitting this spider with like a basketball and a chef knife. And it is still alive. Rude! The sound of that gets me every time. So what are we gonna get from this one? We got vertigo. What does this one give us? Cripple! Lovely. What does cripple do? Deals big damage on all foes and greatly reduces their speed. I need to do that instead of cripple. Damn. It's an upgrade to like hack away. So what fear is left? Water? I think water is left. Ooh. Okay. Oh, no, stairs. And no, it's water. So, we already did heights. Oh, yep, there's the fear lines for water. Oh, getting in it. The room fills with water. That is fucking terrifying. I'm surprised if any of them is gonna have a time limit that it's not this one. The room is filling with water. Also, is this one brighter? Why is this one of all of them brighter than the others? Get pissed at the water, please. We're just gonna throw our weapons in the water. I feel like that's when you sit there and you go, well, there's nothing else I can do. Yes, get mad. What was that old commercial? Don't get mad, get glad. You feel like you can't breathe. Ooh. We can almost do our ultimate attack. Oh, it's so bright and colorful. And we're all so angry at you. That's it? Seriously? Soon these snacks aren't gonna be enough. It's gonna start doing like hacking damage. Stop making this meatball. I do not appreciate that. I appreciate how my counter is going up so I can do the attack again, the energy release, but I don't appreciate how that's happening. You can almost do the energy release thing again. I can only do red hands one more time before I have to start filling up my juice too. Stop! Stop making me slower! I feel like you can't breathe. Oh. It's like the water gets to attack twice before I get to attack, and I do not appreciate that. Are you gonna do more than 1,000 this time? No, of course not. Oh, their defense can't get lower. Oh? Oh. No big deal. We just learned suffocate. We got an achievement called repressed. In the other route, we fought our fears, and it's almost like, yay, you're not repressing things anymore. You're not avoiding things anymore. In this one, it's almost like you fight your fears so you can absorb them, so like you can be the more powerful fear. It's a different feeling, because yes, technically we went through the same actions, but it's like for a different For a different reason, different motivation, I guess. Deals 400 damage to all foes and greatly reduces their defense. That sounds great. I mean, it sounds awful, but just kind of in a red hands kind of way, it sounds great. Omori is very powerful. Very powerful. There's something else in Sweetheart's Castle that I was encouraged to do. I have no idea where to go for it, though. Something about a curtain. I don't know. I have to find it. I'll be back when that happens. That actually took significantly less time than I thought. I think this is the area. I've never been here. It's like, the red makes me think of like black space. Ooh. Hi. Nope, I don't like this. You are brave to speak to me, young ones. Tell me, are you enjoying Sweetheart's Castle? Does my answer really matter? I don't like that there's not a teleport to it. Not teleport, Pluto thing. Pluto was here, and then Pluto was like, bye. That girl, she was an elaborate one. That dwelling, this dwelling, it takes the shape of one's deepest desires. It's like Harry Potter's room of requirement, basically. But a castle. A place to return to, somewhere to call home. Okay, so if we have that, would it... I guess the question becomes, would it be Omori's? What would Omori's home look like and deepest desires look like? Would that be a reflection of black space? Or would it be Sunny? I guess that the question that I'm asking is Sunny so deep into the persona of Omori? Like Omori is this defense mechanism. Omori is a way to protect Sunny. But is that defense mechanism so strong that it identifies as a separate person, which I've kind of like talked about before? And if that's the case, would that mean that Sunny would actually like identify Omori as a separate entity, as a separate person, and then would like allow Omori essentially to have the option to take this choice himself, versus having it be something that would be like a reflection of Sunny's own deepest desires? Because that would be interesting. That would be interesting to see Omori's deepest desires. I just assumed it would be a reflection on black space, because like Omori is so much in charge there, because black space is already, I guess, repressing things so much. And so is Omori, just like inherently by being a defense mechanism in its own way. But then by itself, what would be Sunny's deepest desires? I imagine it would be things like the friends, like what we saw in the library and the snow globes, where it's like friends and connection, and these things that are so incredibly scary for Sunny to try to do in not real time, but like in the current moment, because it has to go hand in hand with the trauma. So, but in the past, that wasn't the case. So this idea of like before the trauma. So Mari being alive and friends and like the family all together, like all of that, that's what I kind of picture. It's just, it's an easy thing to imagine. Sweetheart came to me long ago, a poor girl from the desert, and begged me on her knees to make this place hers. I think Sweetheart is in her own way an interesting character. She's easy to dislike, but there seems to be a lot of self-esteem there. Like Sweetheart has a hard time admitting that she doesn't like certain things about herself, and then broadcast that as what could be seen as narcissism or ego or things like that. But we have things like here where it's like she obviously wanted something so much that she would basically be willing to do anything to get it. And like the way she was begging for things from other people and constantly looking for the solution, that kind of stuff. I think Sweetheart in her own way, is just constantly looking for a solution but can't admit to other people that she needs help. And yes, Sweetheart is like a celebrity or something like that. I don't know. That Sunny has seen in the real world, but we don't honestly know celebrities' personalities. Like, not really. So who in Sunny's life has Sunny seen who displays these personality traits that he kind of put in as Sweetheart? Or maybe he just imagines that's how Sweetheart is. I suppose it's also a possibility. We may just see general things like that from the media. That's true too. I gave her what she desired, a castle full of riches, servants for her to command, a stage for her to flaunt her power. Because if she honestly was happy with all of these things, why would she constantly be searching for more and more and more? And yet, yeah, she still wants more. It must be a curse. It's more like she wasn't happy with herself. And so because she wasn't happy with herself, she was looking for external things. She was looking for things outside of herself to try to fill that hole within herself. Ironically, like Donut, right? Donut has a hole in the middle. She's trying to fill that hole with something that wasn't her, that wasn't herself. But that will never work, because if we're not happy with ourselves, we can't just fill that with something outside of ourselves. That's not how that stuff works. When we are satisfied with ourselves, that's when all the other stuff doesn't matter as much. External stuff never matters as much as our own internal stuff. And sometimes we look at that external stuff as well. If I get compliments from other people, if I, have other people tell me I'm pretty, whatever it is, then I'll believe it myself. But our internal voices are so much louder. They're the ones that we live with. They're the ones that matter, basically. So if our own internal voices disagree with what we hear from the outside world, that's why we won't believe it. That's why it'll never be enough. She has left and will not return. I know this. And now it is time for me to look for a new owner. So in a weird way, you're kind of doing the same thing. Now I'm paranoid about sounds. You with the empty eyes. Damn! You are here now! Your soul is split. So recognizing that it's Sunny and Omori, which inherently means Sunny recognizing it within himself, because Sunny is every character in this world that we're saying, but whatever. But you can only choose one path. Very true. But we're on the Hikikomori route now, my dude. It'll be interesting to see what you will make of this dwelling. Would you like that power? Yes, I would like it to not have fucking whispers, please. And I grant you ownership of this place. I picture like someone handing over the keys to a car and having that little like beep beep. What is this going to be? Again, I'm picturing family. Stop with the sounds, please. I do not want creepiness, I swear. This is a simple door. The achievement unlocked. Welcome home. Ugh. I know you're here to see Sweetheart, but this is not Sweetheart's place anymore. Very simple sliding glass door that looks very familiar. This room looks familiar. Only the last time we saw it, there was a basil's shaped something in the middle of the floor, and all the pictures had, I believe, red eyes. I did not click anything. I was just looking at the room. Also, we're the only one here. The air feels nice in here. There's something still inherently sad about this. This is the room that was right before we went to black space. And like you turn out the light and that's when it all goes whoop. It's like we desperately want our family to be together. We can't picture it. So all we see are, we can't picture, ironically, there are pictures everywhere. I guess my expectation was of literally like walking into the door and almost seeing Mari being there, just like she has been in Headspace. But almost like Like those Sunday morning cartoons where it's like everybody chilling out, everybody being happy together and laughing together, but in like a this is how it used to be and not a Headspace kind of way. That's what I kind of expected. And the reason why this seems sad to me is that it's not as alive. When we're just looking at these pictures, when we look at a picture like this, it's a fragment of a moment of time that we're inherently not in anymore. And so to have all of those moments of time plastered on a wall like that, there's still that distance that we've created between ourselves and that picture or that moment in time. And so we're still not there. So we're still not with Mari. That to me is the sad part, is that even in our deepest, darkest, like getting our desires, we're still not with Mari. We're still recognizing that there's that inherent distance that we cannot close. So even in our dream world, we're avoiding something with Mari. We still can't let ourselves have that. Even like we can't let it go and just let ourselves like even have, I guess, a moment to be with Mari in a way that is like realistic, because maybe it feels like if we let that realism in, we can't control it. And so it becomes too real. It'll be like all or nothing, kind of like emotions. You know, we can't only have happiness. It's all emotions or no emotions, which is sometimes why we feel the need to suppress them down. Or that's, I suppose, the consequence of suppressing them. So maybe it's kind of like that. If we let any amount of what feels like realism into these moments, it all has to come through, or we're afraid that it will all come through. You can hear some birds chirping outside. I'm glad we can't turn off the lamp. So that's it, huh? Oop, that's not what I wanted. So Sweetheart's Palace isn't Sweetheart's Palace anymore. This feels like a good place to stop, all things considered. So in this chunk of the video, we first off now own what used to be Sweetheart's Castle. We have also fought off our fears. We conquered. I want to say we absorbed, because we now have abilities that are related to that, which is weird. It's interesting. It feels like so much of the Hikikomori route is like becoming stronger in the dream, because we've chosen not to go to reality. We've chosen to avoid so much of what happened with the trauma. And so by doing so, we've decided to embrace whatever it is that we're doing. And we might as well make it stronger. Which means all of these things. I would love to hear thoughts on the game and the video, and I will see you next time.